Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City of Bettendorf Committee of the Whole meeting. Today is Monday, November 1st, 2021. It's 5 o'clock p.m. We have a couple of consent agenda items to discuss this evening. Before we get into the rest of consent and any operational items any particular council person would like to discuss, let's start with consent item N, a site development plan for 880 Lincoln Road. Currently, it's a pizza ranch, and for this, we welcome our Community Development Director, Mr. Mark Hunt. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, just want to go over this case with you quickly. It's pretty straightforward. I'm sure you're all familiar with this location off of Kimberly Road and Lincoln Road. This is 880 Lincoln Road. It is the existing Pizza Ranch restaurant location. It will remain a Pizza Ranch restaurant, but they're going to do a little bit of an expansion onto the east side. So the site plan here shows that expansion onto the east. Building addition of nominally 3,000 square feet. It will take up and require the relocation of some parking. You can see that here in this area. And those will all be the required ADA spots. I would note, and it's in the staff report as well, there's multiple cross easements for parking, so parking is not an issue. They are well parked. And the expansion will be used for what they're calling a fun room and community room, kind of like a kids' games and tickets and an extra meeting room or party room, if you will. This development does not affect their dumpster location or any sidewalks, so those will not be impacted by this expansion. It is in a C2 district. The use, since it's already there, obviously, is allowed. Here's an example of, or a drawing, if you will, of that fun zone game room on the east side and a community room here. They will, of course, have to meet our building codes when that comes through for review. The east elevation is the elevation that will be impacted, so you'll see this area. It will still look the same, but as far as the fenestration, but it will have expanded into that existing parking lot, so the van would not obviously be able to be there. Yeah. Here's that east elevation. It's not in color, but the only thing you'll see perceived difference is it'll be bigger and you'll have a door there that's not there now. The front remains the same. The Pizza Ranch logo, signage, all that is pretty much staying the same. There will be a little bit minor landscaping improvements, so you'll have some off that east side where that diagonal parking is going to go. You'll have 3 tree factors and a little bit of lawn space added, which does meet our code. It was approved unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Commission with a positive staff review. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Mark on this development? No questions. Okay. Seems kind of cut and dried, getting bigger.
Any questions?
Mr. Nauman, do you have any questions?
I do not, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. All right, the second item, well, let's keep this on consent for tomorrow night. I'd like to entertain a motion to do so at this time.
So moved. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We'll take it up as consent agenda item N as in Nancy. Let's move to O.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item O, let me get to it, sorry. (2309) Grant Street is the location of Getz Fire. They would like to do a small expansion, nominally 600 square feet, again on the east side of the property. Here's the parcel in question. Notice their parking is to the north. They do have a little bit of parking here that is going to be absorbed or taken up by the proposed expansion. It's a C3 district, general business. This is an allowed use. It is an overlay district as well. Our requirement is that any expansion of this size match the fenestration of the existing building, which they do intend to do. And with this drawing, you can see a little bit better where that expansion will go. Going to have a garage element, so they'll be able to pull parking in, so there is some parking capable within the expansion. They will relocate some ADA parking just to the northeast, and then their existing parking lot will be available as well. An improved concrete pad, and there will be some improved lawn and landscaping on this east side as well. There are no sidewalks or dumpsters impacted by this development. Coles Court is not sidewalked at this time and wouldn't need to be for this level of development. This does show you that added lawn space, improved downtown landscaping, and I have some fenestration elevations I can show you here, which again, these are matching what is on the current building. This project was approved unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Commission. With the positive staff report, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Mark? Yes. Bill?
Can we go back to the landscape plan?
Sure.
Isn't that tree on the south side of the project in the way of getting to the dumpster enclosure?
I don't know about that. I'd have to look.
Go back to the site plan.
Right there is where you're saying?
No, the dumpster enclosure is
I take my glasses off, I can't see it.
right adjacent to the garage addition. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be a good point. We can work with them on that. Yeah, unless they're planning on coming in over here, but I doubt it because there's no pad.
Well, that's supposed to be lawn up there.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to work with them on the tree location. We can probably move that to the north.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, seeing none, let's entertain a motion that this remain on tomorrow night's consent agenda as item O.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll take it up tomorrow on consent. Let's take a look at the remaining items on our consent agenda, and if there are any particular items anybody would like to discuss, this is the time to do so. Anything on consent anybody would like to talk about? All right, let's, okay, Jerry, yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item G, that loop ramp detention basin there. I thought they were digging it out, but then they filled it in, or started to fill it in. Do we know what the story is there?
Yes. When we originally had the agreement with the DOT, it was going to be a dry pond. We originally wanted a wet pond. The city would prefer a wet pond. But the amount of excavation that it would have taken and depth that it needed was too much for us to undertake ourselves. We felt it was over between $500,000 and $1 million. So we agreed it would be a dry pond. Once they built the project to the spec, the groundwater makes it not able to be a dry pond. But the depth of the water isn't large enough for it to, it collects and it continues to silt in. So now that it's wet, we discussed how can we make it permanently wet and that it could be able to hold pumps, because it wasn't deep enough to hold pumps in the current condition. And so the depth would have to be increased, I think, by 3 feet.
3 to 4 feet.
Yeah, 3 to 4 feet. So we reached an agreement that they would dig it out, and the city would pay half that cost, and the DOT would pay half that cost. And then it would be a wet pond, like we originally preferred, and we'd be deep enough to have pumps and aeration devices to be able to do that. So the agreement in front of you is for the digging out of that pond to make it have the adequate depth to handle the wet pond environment and be able to us to have pumps like we originally wanted to do. So it could be aesthetically, it could be both aesthetically and the ability to maintain water at a depth that we could clean. That's the agreement that we're asking the council to consider. It was what we originally contemplated, and we were originally going to agree to pay for, but they would not pay half the cost at that time. they're willing to pay half the cost at this time for it to become a wet pond.
So now they hauled in a bunch of material, so they
No,
got
actually,
something to
they did
dig
not.
out?
They actually did not haul anything in. They were starting to dig it out to go lower. So what you're seeing is material that they've pulled from from drillings to get it deeper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was nothing hauled in.
Yeah, it just looked like it was hauled in, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Frank?
Then when they're done doing that, will that get rocked or is it gonna be a dirt berm?
I think it's going to be a
Bank, I should say.
combination. I think it's going to be a combination. There's plantings, there's deep grasses that are going to be put in along the side face. The question is, would we add additional rock to the banks? I think that is contemplated. Brent might be on the line, or Brian might know.
Yeah, it is contemplated in the overall landscape plan, the combination of rock and landscaping.
Thank you.
Bill?
Because that was designed, and this is probably for you, Mr. Schmidt, that was designed as a dry pond and it ended up being a wet pond, did they have to recalculate the capacity?
They did, and then, because the groundwater was actually seeping up, and then with the additional waters that was coming up from the north, they actually had to, when they lowered it down, they did an analysis of that so that it wouldn't inundate the storm sewer systems to the south.
Okay, so it really didn't affect the capacity of the
really.
detention? Okay.
And to be honest with you, Bill, I mean, the depth that's in there, when you see all the water that then handled in that latest event, and it did slightly go above the outlet coming down, there's a lot of capacity in there.
Good, good.
Greg?
So there's gonna be electricity for there's gonna be like a fountain, so is there gonna be lights?
It's anticipated the pumps or the lighting, the pumps to aerate will be lit.
Okay.
And we're looking at additional aesthetic design to those pumps and aeration devices.
That'll be nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any other consent items any particular council member would like to discuss at this time? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion that all items on consent remain as such for tomorrow night.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's take a look at our operational items. Some, couple of ordinances here, a third and final and a second, which staff recommends become a third and final. I don't think we'll have too much heartburn over a yield intersection moving up. Any particular council person have any thoughts or ask any questions on these two items? Probably not, since they've been up and down a few times. Okay. Let's entertain a motion to approve tomorrow night's agenda.
Second.
Those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll take it up as written. Any other items to be added today by city council? All right, seeing none. Yes, go ahead, Jerry.
The good news up at Cumberland Square, I think that's
Oh,
worthy
yeah,
of,
finally getting that
worthy of
the stamps building
discussion.
coming down. A little bit of a long process, and I know lots of folks were calling, and happy to see that come down. All right, let's entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We're adjourned. Don't forget